Caleb Pfohl is the founder of Web3 Insanity. He's a man on a mission with a passion for life and a drive to make the world a better place. And he's on the line here to share his vision for a future where everyone can live in harmony and happiness, and talk about how he's working towards that goal through his innovative new Web3 company. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Toby?
Excellent, thanks. Now, what actually is Web3?
Web3 is many things, but I'll give you top three of what it is, or maybe just a top two, depending on where we land. But Web3 is one. It's really a concept overall. It's a concept of open internet that is available for everybody, where everybody owns their own data. It's just the idea of that. And it's become marketed, right? It's become like a marketing industry where people can just be like, oh yeah, like people are into Web3. We're just gonna anybody can get into Web3 essentially, and every corporation right now is trying to take advantage of it. So that's that. And then the second thing, we'll just stick with two for now. The second thing that Web3 is, because it really is defined by anybody. Web3 is also officially the technology behind what people call Web3. So we're going to call this Web 3.0, which is blockchain, NFTs, etc., cryptocurrency. So that's generally what Web3 is. But to me, it's really a movement towards let's all work together and share in profits, as opposed to one person makes all the profits and then we have a system where we are at right now.
So it's a new kind of internet, but is it like on the existing internet? It's not like a completely separate thing.
It is, exactly. Really, Web3 changes two things. It changes the interface, and it also changes the way that the background processes work. And those actually both describe exactly the way that I described Web3 earlier. It makes three things. It's specifically that I solve with my business, because I think it's perfectly relevant: privacy, security, and fun. It brings it back to the internet. It gives more options. So simply, in my opinion, Web3 is just the internet upgrade. It's more internet. So yes, it does build upon what exists right now, but there's a lot of infrastructure that we can't even, there's a lot of features of Web3 that we can't use yet until we install that infrastructure, and that might take some time.
So what actually inspired you to start your own Web3 company? And also, what does a Web3 company itself actually do?
That is a great question. I know that I say this a lot, but there are two answers to that question. One, you could be a quote unquote Web3 company, or you could be an existing company that implements Web3 in some way, or within that you pivot to Web3. So what does that mean? A Web3 company is defined by me, because if you ask somebody else, they might disagree, but generally this is the view. If a Web3 company is a company that is building infrastructure for that Web3 world that I had described, where everything works together, everyone owns their own data, and everybody is accountable for everything. Everything is public. Nothing goes wrong. There's no human error. Everything is decided by code, by machines. And the other Web3 company is the company that takes advantage of Web3 technology, like Starbucks. Starbucks just came out with an NFT collectibles series. And I disagree. I want to put this on the record. I really disagree with what Starbucks is doing, because they could have made a lot more money with what they're doing. And not even just that long term. It's about customer relationships. They could have handed out NFTs and said, hey, you get a free dark roast every month, or heck, every week, or heck, even every day right now, because Panera has this deal where they're coming out with free coffee. And here's Starbucks saying, let's charge people more money for a NFT that actually doesn't do anything for you. It just sits there. I think that was a really poor decision, unless they're really, really targeting people that have that have a higher income. It doesn't make sense to me as a company that's trying to develop their relationship with a larger audience. But those are the two things. That you could either be a Web3 company or a company that takes advantage of Web3. And I'll actually just add this very quickly. The third thing is that you could get ready for Web3, because eventually, this is my assumption, but I really, really think that I am right about this. I think a lot of people are. We're going to very soon have a future where everybody's implemented Web3. And that alludes to the Web3 world that I had mentioned to you before, where everything is Web3. It's just the internet. The internet evolves. And once everybody gets onto a new standard, which is this Web3 tech, then everybody will be a Web3 company. So those are kind of the three overall facets of that.
And what's your opinion on NFTs generally? Because there are a lot of people who would feel you've just paid a load of money for a virtual picture. You've been ripped off, mate.
Yes. So That's a great question. I'm really glad that you asked that, because then I can tell you that I actually believe that NFTs are a scam. And you're just like, well, why are you an NFT company and you believe NFTs are a scam? I agree. I agree with everybody. NFTs are a scam. Back when the internet first came out, even with Web 2.0, with the rise of Facebook, with all of these different social media sites, with MySpace, hacking is always going to be there. Social engineering is always going to be there. People that are trying to sell you stuff to make a quick buck are always going to be there. We're humans. This is humanity. We're on the planet Earth. It's going to continue to happen. The difference is this is a brand new system that we can get onto, that if everybody agrees that this is the system we're going to move on to, there's full accountability, because it's based on coding. And overall, this is kind of a rabbit hole. I won't go down it, but I'll mention what it is this could go down the rabbit hole of this is the only option, because people are concerned with the rise of AI. So if we actually upgrade the internet and we rely on code even more, we're basically surrendering our lives over to a potential AI takeover if AI comes to a point where it evolves high enough. And I even mention AI because I do throw it under the Web3 bucket now, because most people do. It's not really under Web3 what Web3 originally was, but Web3 just imagines the internet in a better way. It imagines internet in a way that it was created for, which is to connect people in a better way. And Web3 connects people in an even better way, as incredible as that is. And maybe that integrates AI. There's a lot of potential use cases that I help people with, that I give people ideas about. So that is, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. AI is an interesting one, because up until very recently, I'm talking like the last few weeks, I maybe didn't think much about AI, but there's this new chat thing that you can ask it stuff and it comes back with stuff that's actually pretty good. If you told it to write a screenplay, for example, it's probably not as good as how an actual screenwriter would do it, but it's probably better than what the average person could do.
Oh my goodness, yes, and that's ChatGPT. I've been playing around with it. It's an incredible tool, and we may see a lot of AI take over. When I say take over, I think it's assist, because a lot of people were concerned with, and I want to make this brief because I know that wasn't really a question. It's just really, I think this is important, is a lot of people were concerned that a lot of the marketing jobs were going to be taken over because of ChatGPT. But ChatGPT is a tool to be used by marketers. I mean, it doesn't even replace the creative department. In fact, it actually decreases the amount of work that they have to do, because this AI raises a lot of questions as to where does creativity come from. Nobody owns their own ideas. Ideas don't come from people. I think that anybody in any given situation, especially in my situation, somebody else is going to come up with Web3 Insanity. Somebody else could have come up with ChatGPT. Those ideas are going to come from somewhere, and they're inevitable, is the best way to put it. So ChatGPT it just cuts a lot of time for these people. So, but I'm glad you mentioned that. ChatGPT is amazing.
And where do you think we are on the sort of exponential curve of technology? Where are we at the moment in terms of AI and Web3 and all that? Is it only just beginning, or is it actually reached its potential?
Sure. I think that if you look at an overall trend of the internet, kind of filling a lot of spots in our lives over the last 10, 20 years, you would see that exponential curve. So Web3 is it's a point in time for that. People think that Web3 is kind of the beginning of something, but it's the continuation of something, really. It takes the internet and it keeps building. Web3 is just a label. I mean, we could call this Web 6 if we wanted, because there really have been so many pivotal points in the internet that have been built upon or created or improved upon something. So really that's, I see a lot of growth. And I will be honest, I kind of tend to be on the more side of conspiracies, like with AI. But I really think that just in general, it's very logical with the data in terms of usage of the internet. And actually, I just want to mention this quickly because I think this is directly useful. I have a video specifically on how gaming supports the rise of the metaverse because of the way that video games have risen over the last few years and the importance and the role it's played in people's lives. The metaverse, which is a part of Web3, I put it under Web3. I think that video games have basically pushed the rise of metaverse, and it's completely supported the rise of the metaverse. So industries like that have indirectly affected, and yeah, we're just going to see more, and it's going to happen exponentially faster.
Now, you're a big fan of gaming, so how does that influence your perspective when it comes to your views on Web3 and AI and everything that's happening?
Oh, it's just fun. Fun is collectibles. They gamified collectibles, and I loved it. I thought that was so fun. That's really, it just captured me. So I love the whole world of Web3 because there's a lot of gamification. There's ways of playing to earn. There's ways that you can stake your money. It almost seems fake, Toby, is what I'm trying to say. It's so unreal.
And yet AI for a lot of people seems spookily real.
Oh yeah. And I was going to mention this. Like AI is really it's a concept, but it's just code. You know, everything is just computer programming. It's just lines of code, all of it. So that we're reaching a point where really what Web3 ultimately is it's the pivot point of the internet where everything is interoperable, where everything works together seamlessly, where anything works together in any context. Like where even with debit cards, the fact that I can go anywhere and use a piece of plastic that covers a purchase. That's incredible. Nobody talks about that. That is an incredible technology that we've developed that took a long time. That 10 years, I mean, I'm young. I don't know when credit cards came out. When 40 years ago, when they said you could buy something with just the swipe of a card, people were like, "That's nonsense. You are a conspiracy theorist." And look at us now. That's what I'm saying is that's what Web3 is going to look like in 10, 20 years. It's not even going to be called Web3 anymore. It's just going to be called Apple's new product or Microsoft's new service. That's what Web3 is going to become.
Do you think we're going to look back on what you've just said and laugh in the future? Because, you know, in the UK, we had a program called Tomorrow's World. If you watch like a 40-year-old episode of it, predicting what life is going to be like today, some things they actually got vaguely right, and other things it's just embarrassingly wrong.
I love that. And if you could send me the link to like the wiki on that or something, that sounds really cool. I've never heard of something like that. But I think that I think we would. I think we would think this is hilarious. We should do another episode in the future, and talk about what has happened looking back. But I think that we're going to look back and be like, wow, we were just children thinking about the ideas of the future, because it's limitless. I mean, just AI and what we have with Web3 alone. I mean, just combining those two things alone, we're going to see some incredible technology.
Yeah. And what is your kind of experience in the Web3 community, and what have you learned from other people who are maybe doing a similar thing?
That was honestly the whole entire premise of our company at first, which we actually originally we called it Virtual Insanity was the original name. It was named after Jamiroquai's Virtual Insanity. So we were heavily inspired by that. And my partner is also is from the UK as well. So he said that it was cool. Jamiroquai went to his school. I was like, this works out perfectly. And that was the whole premise of starting our business, was because of what you just said. Everything that I had learned about Web3 at the very beginning was from other people. I had to join the communities because the technology was so new. There was like no documentation on it, nothing. I heard about Bored Ape Yacht Club in back channels before it even existed. It was crazy. That was my experience with Web3, was really primarily through other people. And that's why we wanted to start Virtual Insanity. Let's put out content and help people to learn about this stuff, put it out as if it's some curriculum. We're giving you points of data instead of trying to figure it out on your own and trying to join these communities. So I've learned a lot from people in terms of the information on the technology, on new technologies, and also on the culture, what people wanted to see, because there's a whole culture with Web3. It's a very gamey culture, but there's also new terms that have come up with. It's very relaxed. It's defined itself as its own subgenre of culture, and it's incredible.
Now, for your own Web3 company, Web3 Insanity, how do you expect it to evolve? Is it something that you have no idea because you don't know what the technology is going to do?
It's really about marketing, and that's why I focused the business on the marketing aspect, because initially it was the blockchain. My whole thing was, hey, I don't want to tell you ideas because I want you to be creative. But really there is a direction. There are certain things that people look for that Web3 can now allow, like joining a certain community, right? The biggest problem that is solved with Web3 tech, especially NFTs, is people like that sort of fraternity culture, as in they like the brotherhood aspect. They like the sisterhood aspect. They like joining a community of people that are exactly like them, down to the dollar. And that's what these have kind of provided. So given that, it's not about the technology. It's about what people are looking for. It's about the emotional intelligence skill to know what people are looking for, to reach out and really fulfill a deep desire in them, even on the service level, because I do that. I know that I'm making this for people that have customers, but on the service side, it's about that too. It's about having a more relaxed business culture, and that follows through even with the AI, because when AI reduces the workflow, it reduces the amount of work that you have to do, it increases your productivity. Now you have time you have more time to actually communicate with people. You have less time to think about the actual work and more time to think about the bigger picture idea. So really, one of the biggest benefits with some of this Web3 tech like AI, and as time goes on, is reduced workflow. People want to work less. AI is inevitably going to take up a lot of jobs. It's not just about like the robot jobs, like it's like the futuristic Terminator. I'm talking about basic stuff, like even the stuff we were talking about, replacing whole creative departments. We're not there yet, but I think that we're reaching a point where it's just going to increase productivity enough where companies will be able to cut a lot of their expenses. But in the end, it's going to give people a lot more time to interact with each other as opposed to being busy all of the time. That's the ultimate goal that everybody wants. Is we've seen it throughout history. We've seen it. People tried socialism. People have tried communism. Different thoughts of policy. I don't think politics are the answer. I think this is the answer. I think it could be solved with a fusion of technology.
Yes, that sounds like a great idea. We'll have more time to sleep in the day, and the main reason for a lot of people would be more time to make more money.
Exactly. That's exactly it. More time with their loved ones. Just more time. The technology, Web3, is going to give people more time in ways they had not even been able to conceptualize before.
Well, where are we able to find your company, Web3 Insanity?
My website is web3insanity.com. I'm also on YouTube. If you look up Web3 Insanity, it'll be the first option because it's not a very popular name, but I have a lot of, you'll see my face. I'm just a typical brown-haired guy with a hoodie and some of my, but on LinkedIn, I'm linkedin.com/in/CALEB-PFOHL. That's Caleb Pfohl.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us today, and we'll see you in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, Toby.